Hello, this is Asadani from JPC. This is going to be a quick explanation of our Firebrand and Stormcaller strategy for our guys. We have our door at the bottom where our Taunfauns stay out of the fight because it's just not a safe place for them. On the left hand side you'll see the building. It's important to denote that the bosses in this encounter will be referred to as bosses, not as tanks, since they are gigantic mecha tanks, and you don't want them confused with the actual tanks on our team in the raid. So you have Firebrand on the left, Stormcaller on the right, and you will have the positioning for the turrets on the tanks noted there. Stormcaller will be facing a little bit more outwards than Firebrand. Now this will be a two-tank encounter. There will be two teams, one on Firebrand, one on Stormcaller. Each team will be made up of one tank, one healer, and two DPS. Now one of the DPS for the Firebrand side, as denoted in yellow, will be staying on the outside, a little bit away from the tank, and their job will be to drop the lightning domed targeting reticles, and they will be dropping the lightning domes around, and they will also occasionally get yellow targeting reticles on them and a yellow light, and whenever that occurs they will hopefully be cleansed off shortly, because that means they're being pegged for a missile attack. The blue is going to be the rest of the DPS standing on the tank, and on the boss, sorry, and the red will be the tanks from our group. And you see the DPS standing on Stormcaller there. And note the Stormcaller tank faces him outside a little bit more, since he does a cleave. And it should be noted that the Firebrand tank has him facing forward simply because it does a conal attack. It should be noted that the healer for the Stormcaller side will also be in roughly the same area as the DPS. And the healer for the Firebrand side, however, is denoted in gray, will be there. Their job will be to help to heal through the double destruction debuff that will be placed on the DPS that's on Stormcaller's side. Now some groups also have ranged DPS stand roughly around there, and we won't do that usually, simply because we don't have melee DPS to soak the double destruction debuff on Stormcaller. We have to have our range do it, just because we simply don't have any melee. Now onto the explanation of the double destruction debuff. As denoted by the two little purple lines, there are actually going to be white lasers in the game. It's a 5-second channeled attack on the target in front of the turrets. So the tank, denoted in red, will swing around and step back a few feet, so the melee, or the range, our blue DPS, will be able to hop in front and take that debuff. And the way that works is that whenever it starts, you get a debuff called single destruction, and that's just increased damage, and that will wear off briefly. The nasty part that you really want to make sure it gets rid of is whenever it's at the end of the 5-second, and that's when the double destruction actually occurs, and that's when you need to make sure the DPS has the debuff for then. Okay, now we'll look at the transition phase, and that's when the adds will spawn on the left hand and right hand sides. On the left hand side, by the Firebrand tank, the Firebrand tank will actually go in with the DPS on this one. They will single target down the adds under the dome. The Stormcaller side, however, the tank will stay out, and their job will be to run around like a madman, and they will be dropping the lightning dome, those nasty targeting reticles. Those will be dropped down, and they do a nasty AoE. The important thing for this part is just to make sure that the Stormcaller tank stays within LOS of heals. Otherwise, they're kind of screwed. A quick last thought, make sure that you are DPSing down the add single target, as the AoE from the bosses from Firebrand will be wearing down the dome shields, and so that's the one thing protecting you from their AoE as well, so make sure they die as quickly as possible. Also, the Firebrand tank will receive a debuff after double destruction, which will cause them to have to do a tank swap. Remember, it will be the Firebrand tank that will be calling out when this occurs, but it will always be after the double debuff ends, or the double destruction debuff, so you should already be expecting it. Good luck, and have fun.